I have my own business. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm also a trauma informed therapist, as well as a supervised prevention therapist. And my background is in psychology, education, and social work. So we are going to just get in because I know it's late, and I see a lot of you saying, "Well, I'm with the kids with the parent logic classes." I thank you for joining me. With this class, we just want to get off to a great start. If we to learn how to not get pulled in unwinnable arguments with your kids. So a little bit about love and logic. Love and logic is basically a process in which children go through their mistakes and learn from their consequences of their own choices. There are two basic rules. It's more than that, but it's two basic rules love and logic really go by. Adults need to set limits in a loving way without anger, lecture, threats, or repeated warnings. Again, adults need to set limits in loving ways without anger, threats, or repeated warnings. They need to set limits using enforceable statements, regard mistakes as a learning opportunity, and resist the temptation to nag. When children misbehave and cause problems, adults hand these problems back in a loving way, providing empathy before describing consequences. Use a few words, and we'll go more to that about your one liners and use words and more loving actions. We also go into delaying consequences when necessary and give kids the gift of owning and solving their own problems. So, this foundation of love and logic process is to share control, gain control by giving away the control you don't need. Share the thinking and we get more of decision makings. Provide opportunities for children to do greater amounts of thinking and decision makings. Equally share of consequences and empathy. An absence of anger calls a child to think, learn from their mistakes, and maintain the child's self concept. That means to increase the concept leading to improved behavior, improve achievement. So with love and logic, as I asked earlier, and you can put in the comments, and if you want you to kind of read some of the comments to me so I can answer the question, what type of parent do you think you are? The people that's on, what type of parent do you think you are? I'm gonna give a few that love and logic say, and I'm gonna give some other examples of other few parents. What type of parent do you think you are? What style of parenting do you think you do? If anybody wants to get into that, anybody? I see Ashley, Amanda. No messages. Distraction. What style of parenting?
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions out of like these few, like you suggested,
Okay.
like
The
the
other,
ones that,
yes. Love and
yeah,
Logic gives, it's several types, but the type that Love and Logic gives is the helicopter parent. This kind of parenting hovers, rescue, and protects their child. They send messages like, "You're fragile. You can't make this. You can't do this without me. You need me to run interference for you with every situation, every problem. You need me to run interference with you. You need me to protect you. You can't make it in life without me." That's the hover, the helicopter parent. Everything they have to hover over their child. They have to make every decision for their child, and they make their child feel that their child cannot make it without them. So it's almost like that parent. Most helicopter parents is kind of that style. They're missing something, so they need that child to fill that kind of void. So they put that, "You can't make it without me. I need to be there with every mood, everything you do. I need to be there." Another type of parent is a drill sergeant parent. This kind of parent demands that their child do it now, their way, or else. Most drill sergeant parents is always immediate consequence, and it's not a positive. Is I put it this way: it's not a consequence; it's immediate punishment if that child doesn't do exactly what they say, when they say do it, and how they say do it. Uh, this is messages like to you cannot think. I have to do thinking for you, boss you around, tell you what to do. You are not capable of making it in life. This is a drill sergeant parent. If I don't instill this in you now, you're that most of the things is you won't be successful. You can't do this. You won't be able to do this without me. That is the drill sergeant parent. Then we have the consultant parent. This kind of parent is always around to give advice. They let their child make the decisions. and the idea that they will let the child make many mistakes as possible, which the price is affordable. That's in a message like you better do your own thinking because the quality of life has a lot to do with your own decision. So they consult a parent like it's in between they give the advice, but they let their child make too many mistakes. Because if they base it's just up to you, it's up to you. They don't, it's not no in between. The consultant parents try to they consult with everything, but eventually it's up to you. It's your decision. You can do whatever you want to do, how you want to do it. That got some good and bad tones to it, because sometimes you have to help a child process to make a certain decision, and sometimes you let them make decisions. So you have to be able to balance things out as a consultant parent. So those parenting styles and other type of parentings that I have researched too, and you can put in the chat if you one of those, is the attachment parent. Attachment parents is a style of caring with the intent of the parent and the child forming a strong emotional bond. Parents who choose this style of parents often believes it believes in childbirth, a family bed, avoidance of corporal punishment, homeschooling, and may be part of anti-vaccination. They kind of just the world just will harm their child, so they kind of more into the crossing between the helicopter parent and that I'm protecting them from everything that might happen. These type of parents respond properly to a child's needs and are sensitive and emotional, available to the child at all times. Parents that choose this parenting style is that a strong attachment for the parents help the child be more secure, empathetic, peaceful human being. Attachment parents instill the ability to self-soothe and massage anxiety in adolescence. Adolescents grow up with this parent will utilize attachment. Parents tend to be cooperative with their parents, interact better with their peers, learn more rapidly in school, have high self-esteem, and more flexible, resilient under stress. So this parenting style, although they still grow up to be a well-rounded child in that type of parenting style. So then I went over the helicopter parent. Then you have the permissive parent. Permissive parents is a style of non-traditional parent, but the parents tend to avoid setting rules for their child. They just let their child. Is they very permissive. This type of parents are warm and understanding toward their children. They tend to limit the stream of avoid using discipline. Permissive parents parenting can lead to adolescent learning the rules are not important and that consequences are very light and for misbehaving. Permissive parent adolescents grow up to what permissive parents offers have trouble with self-control, demonstrate egocentric tendencies, and experience difficulty to develop good relationship because that permissive parent is almost you can do what you want to do. Is no consequences. They don't discipline. They just kind of find your way in life. They don't recorrect with behavior. So with those type of parents you get when they go to school or anywhere, kid misbehaving everywhere, and the parents do not hold them accountable for what they are doing. Like I told you, it's always somewhere else's fault. It's the same with helicopter parents. It's usually someone else's fault. Uh, and then you have the authoritative parent, which he discussed earlier. Authoritative parent is a style of parent characterized by parent being warm but firm. You need to be firm. Authoritative parents typically establish rules and guidelines that they expect their child to follow. However, these parents are open to negotiation and discussion. These parents encourage their adolescents to be independent with limits and controls on their adolescent actions. Authoritative parents use a type of discipline that is assertive but not restrictive, with this intent to be support rather than punished. Adolescents with authoritative parents learn how to negotiate, engage in discussions. These adolescents end up socially competent, responsible, and in their journey. One of the last ones is an uninvolved parent. Although they uninvolved. This parent is a style of parent who the parents tend to be uninvolved as possible in their child's life, and interaction tend to keep short, and their child's opinion neither acts when they want it. Uninvolved parents, I usually socialize this with absent parents or split parents. One parent is involved, one parent is not. One parent is hands off. Undivided parents are not warm towards their kids. They feel their kids is a bother. They feel their kids are as a distraction. They feel their parents are interfering and disrupting their life. This child do not tend to place any demands on the adolescent. This parent is uninvolved parents are indifferent to the adolescent's needs, location, experience, school, experience with the peers. This type of parent cannot be involved in nothing, don't go to no sports, don't go to after school activities, uh, don't even meet sometimes the kids' needs and necessities. Adolescents will learn with this parent are more interested in themselves and not their children. The adolescents seem to have similar behavior when they grow not caring about others, which can lead to impulsive behaviors, problem with self regulations. Most of these uninvolved parents, that's when you get the bullying from kids because they need some type of control, some type of I'm in charge of something. So they become very impulsive, very demanding, because since so many parents is not involved, they trying to get that lack of attention if I'll say so or something that's missing there. I know I did that fast, but any of those type of parenting styles jump out at you that you might be that anybody willing to share?
Yeah. So Ashley typed in from what I got to hear, I'd say I'm a mix between authoritative and the natural description one. Probably authoritative. I would say I'm probably around that same mix as well. Try to have the consultant side in there
Mhm.
some too. Yeah.
So you got a mixture of it. The parent that is the natural is the attachment parent. Uh,
Yeah.
that's that parent is style that's a mix, and that's a good mix. That's attachment parent. Um,
Yeah.
so authoritative is parent is where we kind of lean. That's a very good balanced style of parenting because um, you affirm, you set your limits, but you also allow that child to experience and make those mistakes. And with that type of parent, you are a good listener. You problem solve together. You allow them to problem solve, and you're involved. Attachment parents do care a lot, but like they say, they do avoid corporate punishment. But what think about attachment parent? They do a lot of family stuff together, so that's a good blend. The attachment parent is usually they don't. That was mean natural childbirth. They don't want interfere in anything that's unnatural given to their kids or anything involved with that. Most parents that attachment usually do homeschool. They don't allow their kids to be into public school systems or anything like that. So that attachment parent and that authoritative parent is a good balance. Any of you guys dealing with any other parent? Know any parent that you might know that is a helicopter parent or an uninvolved parent? Have y'all experienced any of those type of parents?
Yeah. I would say most of us have been around a good mix of all different parenting types, which I think makes it confusing because you're like, where should I fall? Sorry, my kids did find me. Sorry. But yeah, I think a lot of us have been around a mix of ideas for sure.
She said, I see those a lot where I work. Those type of parents really, any type of parents have a predominant, long lasting effect on children. Long lasting effect on children. So that's what. So what we also get into with those, we identify those parents. I want to also identify the 4 steps to responsibility. When we get into those, we're going to get into when you identify that as a parent, as you start getting into those power struggles. Anybody struggle with power struggles or that kids or your kids in that rebellion stage? Your kids want it my way right now. You're not fair. You're not letting me anyone dealing with that, especially when the kids get older in their teenage age. You get that power struggle is begin to happen because what they begin to learn is I have a voice too, and I need to be listened to. But it becomes a power struggle. So in this, let me give you some ways. Uh, First of all, we need to be responsible. Um, we need to be loving. We need to be caring, and we need to handle it with our kids, even though they're ours, with empathy. We need to empathize what they're going through as well as we are. I call parents as putting down the hammer. One thing we can do when we get into power struggles, um, some people tell me some things that they do right quick. Do you tell me what people saying when power struggles are happening?
It got loud on my end, right, as you were saying that, but you're asking for kind of examples of what you say when you're in a power struggle with your child? Is that what you
Yep.
were asking for?
Hmm.
Okay. Oh man. Yeah. It varies pretty widely for me, but definitely kind of one of those like, okay, wait a minute, what actually happened? Trying to take a step back and get the full picture of like, why are we upset? I know you try to avoid the why sometimes, but a lot of times
Or the
that's at least
fire.
my initial thought. I was like, what happened? Why is this a problem? Um, so I appreciate Love and Logic giving me some better wording than just that. But yeah, trying to get
Either they want to shy away from the why, and
yeah,
now, what can I do to help you? What do you need from me?
yes,
Because when they're behaving, it's something they uh it's flashing too fast for me. It's almost like, why is this happening? What do you need from me?
yeah.
So
I
that's
think
one of the phrases.
yeah. What do you need from me? I think is a helpful phrase to use. I like that. What's
Hmm.
coming in? It says, try to compromise. Oh wait. Oh, oops. Hold on. It's coming in a little bit. Try to come to a compromise of situations that's safe to do so in. So yeah, if there's not like a running into the street situation, I'm sure. And then it says, my oldest is 5. Strong emotions are hard. We try to see if they're hungry, triggered, etc. How I can help, but acting on them is not acceptable, and we are having a hard time with discipline. Yeah.
When they
It's,
get around 5, they begin to regulate, their own self, begin to trying to figure out what's actually going on with them. We do a lot of the psychological studies. That's when they going through certain phases. If you study a lot of stuff, they begin to, like they say, they're trying to find their own emotions. So literally, they trying to. I don't know what to say or what's going on with me, so I need you to figure it out. So literally,
yeah.
so the behaviors and emotions is, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's all this changes and what's going on. I need you to figure out through my misbehaving. So literally, that's what they're saying. They want mom to sit down and be like, you can't tell me, so I have to go through all these scenarios to figure out what's going on with you. That's a challenging age once they get 5. But one of the loving logic approaches that are like, your whole goal is you want to preserve this relationship. You want to preserve this relationship. So the misbehavior child go through cycles. And as I told you, the child perceptive as you are the authority figure. They go to misbehaving. The adult shares anger and frustration. Then a child perception of authority figure, because when adults share anger and frustration, the most powerful people in my life that I have, the life can't make me behave. They're the most powerful people in my life. Really have to, they have to be sweet to make me behave. So it's this vicious cycle, because they always, a child start looking at you. You're the most powerful authority in my life, and you can't help me. That's literally what they're saying. So as you get to the point of saying that they're not misbehaving, you need to get to the point as a parent. How can I help? Because when they're misbehaving, they are actually, I need help. So we have to kind of keep that in mind. Don't take it personal. That's why the tick is, what do you need from me? That's your lot. What do you need from me right now? Not why. What do you need from me? What is going on right now? They thought it. What do you need right now? Can you express what do you need from me? So that misbehaving kind of go in cycles. Uh, but like I said, you need to preserve that loving relationship with kids. Teach them to make decisions about serious issues and take care of ourselves by setting enforceable limits. Remember, I said in the class earlier, you have to be clear. What do you clear? This is clear. This is what going to happen. You have to be very specific. When this misbehavior happens, this happened. And then one thing is avoid a power struggle. When that happens, That's when your one liners come in place. When you're in this power struggle, I told you to say, for instance, to go wash the dishes, and you gave all this reason. I told you to wash the dishes. You gave the consequence behind that. They get in power struggle. I love you too much to argue with you. I said what I said. That's when your one-liners, when you're in this power struggle with love and logic, your one-liners as a parent has to come in play. You have to be able to say those things and walk away. Because what happened is if you going back and forth, neither person is winning. Because the like I told you before, the brain is designed to protect itself. So when it's a lot of yelling or things that's in a lot of chaos going on, the brain usually shuts itself down. Kids hear the first thing you said and the last thing you said. It's kind of no in between. That's why you see yourself constantly repeating yourself. You're constantly repeating yourself.
Yeah. Hey, Janice, can you, for some of our people who are like new to love and logic, can you explain what the one liners are? And then I'll kind of
Yes.
back up because actually I'd kind of give an example of, what if your kid's just getting upset just because they didn't get what they wanted right away? What if they
Okay.
wanted the toy and they took it from their friend? You kind of know what the problem is. So, kind of both of those things, if we could go over, kind of explain what's a one liner and some examples, and then
Okay.
what to do when it's something you can tell the issue is. Yeah.
So let me back up a little to what's happening with, like you said, in kids misbehaving. In short term, kids usually thank us for learning new skills. So arguing creates a major hassle for parents between siblings, and even more concerning it effect if you have on the children. So when I say these one-liners, it's like when you got a child that's misbehaving, um, and it's four steps to the responsibility of this. Give the child a task that they can handle. Hope they don't blow it. They equal parts of empathy and consequence to do the teaching, and give them the same task again. So when this come in play, that means you have gave them a task or something has happened that they bloated, right? That if you give the four steps responsibility, one of these happened that they bloated. So they come in, say for instance, they got in trouble, and they want to argue with you about the situation of their being in trouble, and you trying to conversate with them. Well, the teacher said today that this and this happened, right? So you go, but I didn't do that. That has happened. But the teacher called me and said that this happened at school. So then they get to argue. I didn't do that, and so was doing this first. And I love you too much to argue about you with this right now. We will revisit this and talk about it because I did get a call from the school and the teacher stated that this happened. Because so in that moment when you first might address them, they might get into this power struggle and get to argue with you. But your one liner is, I love you too much to argue with you right now. We will revisit this again. Right? Another one liner is because they teach you in the love and logic is step one. They want you to go brain dead. So when you go on brain dead, the one liners is you're not tapping into the emotion that's going on with you or the frustration that's going on with the child. You just addressing the behavior, right? So when you get into this space to go brain dead, and I might be jumping when you're getting to set get into this disagreement and this arguing, you making your brain just focus on the task, the focus on the behavior, and not get into a power struggle. Is anybody understanding me? Do I need to explain it a little differently? Yes, Julie, Nathan.
All right. Actually,
Okay,
I
I
got
got you.
you. So,
Yes.
and this, yeah.
I might be not. I done did this. I might not. So, say for instance, somebody. Let's do this way. Give me a scenario, a statement that your child, you might be in, might made that made you almost want to go in a power struggle, and I'm gonna give you a one liner to kind of deal with that. Anybody have something? It's almost you telling them what you need to do. You're just rephrasing it differently. That it's not coming off as a threat. It's not coming off as a punishment. It's not coming off harsh. It's coming off in a loving, I care for you, engaging way. You just rephrasing what you say that is coming off loving, caring and with empathy instead of coming off in a harsh manner. Anybody have one? Julie, Molly, John. Yes. Anybody have one? Are they saying that? No. So, one of the main things of your one-liners, the key to one-liners is be calmly and repeat it. No sarcasm with it. I don't. If you have the same one-liner, I heard in one of the parent class you use it all the time. I love you too much to argue with you. You can have the same one-liner, but it's you want to say it calmly and during the time to de-escalate what's going on. And those one-liners kind of give you time space to back up, and it gives a child time to rethink. Because what happened is with one-liners, you are, and I'm gonna talk about it, delaying the consequences right now because you put space in between that you're not overloading the brain, that the brain begin to produce the wrong hormones. The brains produce so much cortisol that you in fight or flight mode. That the kid is not hearing you because the kid is in such fight or flight mode in these one liners. Some of the good one liners is simply, what did I say? Have them repeat back what you said. Okay, that's final. What did I say? And you walk away. If they say something that, well, I'm concerned that you did this, thanks for sharing. And we will talk about that later. Another one is, I told them earlier, kid, like, I'm just running away. I love you wherever you live. So you just do not get pulled into those because they what they're doing trying to do is pull you in a power struggle, make you feel sorry with the sympathy instead of you being forceful, carrying out the empathy. Wherever you live, I'm gonna love you wherever you go. And it kind of throw the kids for a curve. This skill, and it's why this skill is so important. When we fall into getting frustrated, giving lectures, and try to match wits with our kids, we're forgetting that we are doing so teaching them the same lesson. Arguing with parents is a good way to get my attention, to get their attention. So when we max wits, when we argue and we lecture, kids start processing. Me arguing with my parents is a good way for me to get their attention. We do not want to match wits with them. If they go up, I know it's as a parent it's hard. You come down as a parent. If they begin to get frustrated, you come down. No, you don't go to where they are. You don't match wits. And even worse, lesson is learned that when they discuss that they can eventually argue us into submission. I tell parents, say for instance, you give a consequences, and it's supposed to be for 3 days, and you end up giving up in the first day. You have to follow through. One of the things what I tell parents, if you give a consequences, you must follow through. And one of the things is if you're not persistent enough with and now if I'm persistent enough, this how a kid would think. With my arguing, my parent will eventually give in. All I have to do is keep going, and they will give up. How many have that kids going on like that? If I keep arguing, eventually my parents gonna give in. Eventually they're gonna give in. Yes, got another choir group. So one of the things is when you get, yep, you got to give that consequence, and you have to follow through. If you say 3 days that foam is gone, that foam needs to be gone for 3 days. I don't matter how much they whine, they throwing a fit. They have to know that you will follow through with the consequence. And if they keep bugging you, as I told in the parenting class earlier, I used to answer my son's phone when he didn't like it. I'm like, hello, yeah, he's on punishment. Okay. So he was like, stop answering my phone. Don't ask me for it again until your time is up. This is your one lining with that. I need my phone. Your time is up Sunday. And you cut it short. Whatever time it is up Sunday and you cut it short. I didn't quite read that. Did you get that, Julie? Can't hear you.
I'm so sorry. I had to
Let me
switch
go.
back. My device is having a problem. It says, actually, it had written, they want to go to the park, but it's raining. They can't go. I do feel I argue and allow the power struggle to happen. if it gets to the point of throwing things and body parts, I'm not sure how to respond. Besides, just let it happen and respond later with a consequence. I need all those responses. I love you. Um, I need all those responses. I love you wherever you live. Like laughing, like yeah, it is. It's something to
Yeah.
help you stay calm, right? To have that one liner that's kind of like humorous, but still empathetic enough to be like, it's true. I'm gonna love you wherever you are, right? So
And it is you. It's the point you helping them stay grounded. Helping them stay, and it's keeping you grounded. Things happening, and I do tell parents when it's harming the way it does come that your one liners and work. You have to do space, separate, but you still come back and visit. You need to sit here. You need to sit here, and that's when the delay of consequences come in. The delay of consequences was I'm going to give you the consequence, but not right now because we both at a heated level. You are at a 10, I'm at a 10, the kids are fighting. I'm going to separate you. What you say is, this happened. We're going to revisit this later, and there will be a consequence. They be like, what is going to be? Don't worry about that. I need you to think, don't worry about it. That's your one liner. Once you get everything calm, you take your space. I call parents, put yourself in timeout. You give them that space. And when everything comes down, you still give the consequence later. Delay of consequence make you think about it, make you think about the consequence that was the behavior that happens. It helps you calm down, helps the kids come down, and actually start thinking about what they did wrong. What did they do? It gives them time to start thinking about and processing what they did as a parent. But the main thing is it gives you time to cool off. It gives you time to back up. They will get the consequences, but you come back to it later. And when we get in that, I want to get into consequences versus punishment. So, consequences expressed with empathy will place a child in a thinking, decision making mode, and the problem will become the bad guy, not the parent. If you put it back on them, the parent's not the bad guy. You did this. You deserve the consequences. I did not make you go hit your sister. You know, this happens because they will flip it on you. Well, because this, no, you put it back in their hands. You did this, and the consequence is this. Punishment usually enlightens an emotional response. I deserve the part of the child to become sneaky rather than more responsible, and the parents become the bad guy, not the problem. So when you're a punishment, like say they did something and say this, you get to yelling or you pop them, they do not think about what they just done. It becomes you the bad guy because I just punished them. And you understanding me? What was that?
Yes, actually, it just typed in that says, "What if they don't want to go cool off and they are blaming and in the blaming and shaming mode? Do you help move them to a quiet, safe place?
If they're
What if they
well,
are not?"
if it's kind of cross because sometimes when they move, you kind of move them, touch them, they would escalate. So if they in a place that you can if you can walk away, they tell you do not feed into tantrum fits, do not feed in them going off. You actually supposed to ignore it. That's one of the hardest things to do. Walk away. Because the more attention you give it, the more it will escalate. The more you say, I need you to stop, the more they don't kick. I need you to quiet down, the more they're going to scream. But if you learn to be able to ignore that behavior, they usually calm down because they can't get your attention with that type of behavior. Your one liners work too. I will give you my attention when you are calm. And you leave and you come back, they still, screaming. I will give you my attention when you're calm. I said, tell them, I will talk to you when you're calm. Is that kind of helping? Because you have to get them in a calm state eventually in order to give the consequence. Because otherwise, that immediate consequence, sometimes for a 4 or 5 year old smaller kid, the immediate consequence does work. Sometimes because of that, if you don't stop the consequence, if you don't stop yelling, you will have to sit and so and so timeout when you for 5 or 10 minutes. One of the best thing is you don't give it attention. Tantrum fits and everything. I used to have kids followed in the store, and the parents, I'm like, walk away. I promise you, make sure you're in far enough distance that you see them that they're safe, but walk away. And usually it's gonna stop because they're gonna get up. Where did they go? They did not feed into this. Because sometimes the more you feed negative behavior, the more it grows. Even though you have the best intentions in the world, but the more you feed it, sometimes the more it will grow, the more it escalates. It will grow. Is that answer it?
Yeah. She said, got
Yeah.
it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So with that, like I said, you want to give consequences, not punishments. Tips and tricks of the trade is enforceable statements. That's what I told you. Give the enforceable statements. Always say what you're going to do, not what you think the child should do. Is the y'all understanding that? Say what you're going to do, not what you think they should do. I think you should sit down and just stop it. I'm going to count to three, and this behavior need to be so always what I'm going to do. I am walking away now. So that's enforceable safety. This don't not what you think they should do, but what you're going to do. Only speak from the perspective because you are the one in control. You have to make sure that you showing I am control. Kids love. I used to hear them come talk to me when the parent lose control because when they get a parent to kind of lose their. They be like, my parents got upset. They was yelling. I told you I heard one boy say, "My dad even lost his voice." Like he was yelling that loud. So it's you want to stay in control. So that's when the walking away, the one liners, and the delay of the consequences come in play. Make sure you actually enforce the statement you are making. Is that give me the statement you're making? You enforce that. I'm going to count to three. They never hear you count to three. You're not enforcing that statement. So when you hear I'm going to count to three, they need to hear you go one, two, enforce the statement that you are making. I am going to walk away now. They said something else and they make you turn back around and you gauge, you did not enforce that statement. And no matter what they said, when you say, I'm going to walk away now, you need to walk away now. Understand what I'm saying? If they say something, I don't make them cause you to come back. I'm gonna walk away now and I will be back. So make sure that you can actually enforce that statement that you're making to them. So, and you're processing, and wrapping around to delay this consequences because, as I told you before, delaying the consequences give you time to think of a good one and allow you a chance to get ideas from other people and get the support you need to carry out the plan. So I could call Judy and be like, so and so is doing this. Have you ever had the situation to care? What did you do? What did you do? Mom, I don't know. He is acting up. I used to call my mom all the time on my older child because I did not understand. So mom, what did you do? When this situation happened. Another thing is when a problem arises, you need to delay the consequences. Simply say, oh no, that is sad. This is what you're going to say. I'm going to have to do something about this, but not now, later. And try not to worry about it. Let the child think they have gotten away with it, and then you make your plan with the help of others to carry out that plan. And if the child refuses to solve, and if the child refuses to solve the problem on their own, so then you have to follow through. This is the plan. They might rebel a little against the plan, but you might have to. This is what we came up with. This is the consequences for this behavior, and I'm going to follow through. Walk away. One liner. I'm going to follow through with this. Always.
Janice,
Yes.
oh, sorry. For your older kids, I know earlier you mentioned that sometimes you say, I'll think about a consequence. What do you think the consequence should be?
Yes.
When we come back
Yes.
together, let me know what you think the consequence should be for that behavior so that they're also thinking about what would be appropriate for the decision they made.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, with all the kids, that's definitely. And then they
Mhm.
come. What do you think the consequences will be? And they might see
Yeah.
that. Then say, I consider that. Still your one-liners. I consider that. I think about that. You know.
Right. Yeah, I had a teacher tell me they use that a lot and that they never end up having to give their own consequence because the student would a lot of times have a harsher consequence than what the teacher was even going to do. Like,
Wow.
yeah. So it was helpful for them. So yeah.
That is helpful when you do. Because someone will be like, I need to not go off for recess for 2 days. And you might have been thinking one day, you'd
Right.
be like, "Sure, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
let's do that." And then if they want to go, can I go out? Remember, you came up with your consequence. So I expect you. you know, to complete your consequence because we came up with this together. You said that this will work, so I expected you to follow through with this. So you can easily put it back on them. A lot of it you want to put back on the child, because you want them to process. Your goal is that they be able to resolve conflicts, they be able to reason things out, they be able to come up with a solution yourself. That's one of your goals, what you're trying to do, that they be able to do this themselves. So
Right.
I tell people you're raising teenage adults. They're gonna have to be able to process, to come up with things. They're gonna have to be able to do it themselves. So you don't want to do everything for them. So that's when it comes in. You give them choices. Give as many choices as you can while the price tag is small, so you can gain control when the stakes are higher. So when you give as when I give as many choices as you can while the price tag, while it's just something little, so you can gain control when the price tag is high. When giving choices, begin with phrases like, "What would be best for you? What would be best for you? What would you rather? Blank, blank, blank. Feel free to, and you can either blank or blank. Feel free to choose from this to this. What would you rather have, this or this?" It's always give a choice. What would be best for you? This situation, this choice, or this choice? What would be best for you? Which one would be best for you?
In those situations, are you giving two positive choices? Sometimes you were talking about how whenever you give a choice, you want it to be two choices you're okay with. Is that one of those situations, or is this different where you're trying to help them understand the consequences? One is positive, one is negative. Or are you giving two positive?
It depends on what the situation is. Because sometimes if they got a consequence that they are in trouble,
Mhm.
what would you rather do? Both of them going to be two negative. Which one that you more comfortable with? Because you're going to have to choose one of them.
Sure.
So that's what it is. And if it's like two positive things, you want them to think about something and they're not in trouble. What would you think would best fit you?
Right. As long as it's two things that you're comfortable with as the parent. Right.
Yeah, it's have to be what you're comfortable. You don't want to give one that is going to that you're not comfortable with as a parent if they choose it. That you hoping they don't choose it. Like most parents, I choose this. Well, I didn't want you, but you told me I can. You have to be comfortable with both choices that they choose. You have to be comfortable with both. That's why I say feel free to do this or this. I'm comfortable with both of them. Whatever you choose, me as a parent is comfortable with both of them because you're not. What the main thing is, You're going to avoid the power struggle. You're going to avoid the power struggle with kids, and you're going to avoid yelling and screaming because that is for, like I told you earlier, that is for your health as well as your child's. Because when you are to the point is you are overstressed, when you're constant in fight or flight, when you're constantly yelling, that causes health problems to you as well as a parent. High blood pressure, headaches, nausea, long time chronic symptoms to you. So you have to begin to make your body in this calm state that is producing the right things. You have to self care. Remember, I told you, you have to take the vacation from the kids. You have to ensure that you get enough sleep. You have to ensure that you're spending quality time with your child. Because I told people early, when is the last time you told your child you just love them? Or you just got in bed with them and spent about 10, 15 minutes, sat down and had dinner with them to have a conversation with them, sit at the table. How's it going? You know, what's happening, not what's wrong with you. How's it going? Anything you want to leave that line of communication open that they feel free enough that they're able to come talk to you. And then it's not always in a frustration tantrum fit state. I need to talk to you. Like I said, hugs, hugs. How many hug your child every day? Every day. You should hug your child every day. That your child should get a hug. My 20-year-old still gets hugs from me every day. Because hugs actually help produces the right hormones. Hugs actually put you in a more calming state. Hugs help relax you, and that's what I say. When a child was just like, sometimes I told a parent earlier today, she was like, a child want hugs. So one liner can be, "Do you need a hug?" If they having a fit, throwing, "Do you need a hug?" Because most kids they be like, "Yes," give them the hug. And then we still gonna talk about this, but you can come here and give them that embrace hug. You need to hug your kids every day. They say most average humans need to have at least 2 to 3 hugs a day, and one of those hugs need to last 3 to 5 minutes. So, anybody experiencing that? Thumbs yes, no.
I think with my littlest one, it's easier because like we snuggle before bed. But with my
Mhm.
older two, my husband does that. So then you don't think about okay, 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, we give a lot of high fives or like a quick hug or something like that. But it's encouraging to say like, he might do the main reading and stuff with them, but it's good for me to still sneak in for a few minutes of that too. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you
yeah.
sharing that. Yeah.
You should say we do a book and cuddle before bed. That's awesome. But do we need to give better hugs on the day? Yes. Usually during the day, teachers sometimes give a hug with me. My kids get a hug. Grandkids get hugs from me before they go out the door. I don't care how much a rush they in. I don't care what's happening. They get that embrace hug from me. Usually kids, if you that teacher, I sometimes stand at the door and greet. And kids coming in, I give that hug if they greet. But yes, you have realized, those hugs is do a whole lot, So I know a lot of say you cuddle before bedtime, but just to walk in the house and give a hug, they need to see you hugging the other kids, see you hugging the spouse. It's almost like that just brings a type of harmony that you want in the household, especially if you had a stressful day, especially say for instance, I even tell if they you give the consequences and they got in trouble at school or they ugly, and you do like, you know what? You need a hug. Give them a hug and you can talk. I understand that you're upset, but you still give this hug. But we will talk about this in your hug. And still just give that hug and stuff like that. And then you give that hug, let that hug marinate, and you come back and deal with the problem. Yeah, I say you come back and deal with the problem. Uh, as we go into the love and logic one liners too, I really hone on that. Use your one liners a lot. Some of the ones that Love and Logic use is nice try. When the kids come in and think they try to get one over on you. Oh, she said something. I like to stop and give it. You on mute.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. Sorry. Yes, it says if you only have arguments all day and no fun and no hugs, that's what the vibe probably will be. But I feel we are in a phase we only like hugs and love if it's on their terms.
Yeah. And I mean, I know sometimes parents let it. Sometimes they'll let it only be on their terms, but I would just give a hug as a parent. I do. Bring it in. You can just say, bring it in, make it fun. Bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Oh, they get older. I don't want to hug. Bring it in, bring it in. We need to hug because when they got an environment, and most kids I go to children learn what they live. When they got an environment, that's all that's there. That's all they think they're supposed to be there. Then you get this hostile parent. You get this kid that's always aggressive. You get this kid that's impulsive. Because they brain is begin to they wire they brain that way. It's always overstimulated. It's always hyper. It's nothing seeming to calm them down because they're not getting that sensory. They're not getting that to help relax, help calm, help bring it in. You are able to instill that. The younger and more you instill it, as the older they get, they're able to self-regulate. They're able to process that. They have those skills that they're able to do that. You want that child to be able to self-regulate itself. So that child to be able to do stuff to calm their own self. Otherwise, you get that child in fight or flight mostly all the time. It's because they're like I said, and trauma mimics ODD, ADHD, and trauma mimics that. So a lot of diagnosis is ODD, ADHD, ADD. Usually it's trauma. It's a lot of stuff, trauma that happens, and those steps are missing. So it's easy to medicate. And that's why they be like, this kid been on this type of medicine, this kid been on this type of medicine, ADHD, and none of it's working because it's not ADHD. It's trauma. And it's sometimes we have to begin to go in that. I mean, give me just a few more seconds. I know it's dinner time. I'm just gonna give you some miscellaneous tips. Parents have a choice in how to deal with any situation. They can rant, they can rave, give in, take away the child's problem, or they can allow the consequence to sink in, which will in turn create a long lasting lesson. Remember, you want it to be effective. You want to give them the tools. You're not, punishment is something happened now for the past. Remember, this is for the future. I'm thinking about your future. I want to give you a lifelong lesson that will make an impact, that will last. The tools that you can use. So I want to put tools in your box. I tell it as teachers and I tell it as parents. Kids should not be heavy all the time. You, or as a parent, should make their load lighter. And that's why you have to self care and do things for you because you're taking stuff out of their bag, so they won't carry so much weight. So that's why you kids need to feel that they have an investment in something in order to take it seriously. So what they mean is, they have to invest in self. They have to own this. This life they have to own. They have to be able to make the mistakes and problem solve. This is my life. I have to own it. This is my investment. You have to make them know this is I want you to be successful. I want you to be able to do these things. And as a parent, you have to instill that in them. Remember to pick your battles wisely. Not many things are worth fighting over. If you choose to fight, you need to be in a position that you better win as a parent. So if you choose to get in this battle, you need to have the tools that you're going to win. Do not let it go that they are that you decide to get in this fight, and then they won it, and then you as a parent like, you know what, I should have just left it alone. Sometimes, and I tell it as people in life, pick your battles. Sometimes, even as a parent, is it really worth battling over? Is it something that you can just let go and re-talk about it at a different time? Sometimes we have to pick and choose. Never argue with your kids. You won't win the argument. You won't win because it's going to stress you out. It's going to frustrate you because, first of all, you're my child and you argue with me. We start getting into our feelings and emotions. Everything that I do for you, you are sitting here arguing with me. You're sitting here disrespecting me. What happened is why they say you won't win because parents begin to get emotional and get in their feelings. Kids is straight stick to the argument, straight to the facts. They're gonna fuss, they're gonna argue, they're gonna get loud. You begin to take it personal because that's your child being disrespectful. I don't understand why they've been disrespectful me. You call everybody, you're in your feelings, you cry. They were so disrespectful. They told me they hate me. They don't hate you. They hate the consequence. So if they tie you to it, you be like, they hate me. No, they don't. They don't hate you. It's just you are firm, effective, authoritative, and we're going to get this thing and we're going to do this thing right because you are raising a teenager, an adult that needs to have responsibilities and have the tools in their bag to be successful. So that's what you're doing. Preserve for the relationships at all costs. That's what you preserve your relationship. I deal with so many families that the kid and the parents are not talking to each other. That the kid don't want anything to do with their parent. That the parent don't care what happened to their kids. They the streets can have. I don't care about it anymore. You need to preserve that relationship at all costs. Um, make the problem the behavior, not the child. When you need to talk to the child about their behavior, do it calmly. Waters, but calmly in waters when everything is going fine, everything is good. That's when you want to start bringing up. It's okay at the dinner table to bring up, what was going on at dinner time today? What was going on when you and your sister got into this big fight? Bring it up when things are calm. Bring it up. I don't know what was happening because they're able to process and think about it. Don't bring it up in the heat of the moment. Bring it up when things are calm. And it's okay to bring it up later when things have calmed down. You can ask them to come up with solution themselves. I told you that. Have a backup plan in case they don't follow through with the end bargain that you had already in mind. Have a backup plan. In case what you going in with don't work. Have you a backup plan? Because you have it all figured out in your head, you have it all processed out in your head, and you be like, "Yeah, I'm going to do this," and it don't work. What is your backup plan if that does not work? Uh, and then smile at all times. I know sometimes it's hard when you're given a consequences to smile, but one of the main things you want to do is that's why you need to do it in a calm setting because when they see you frustrated, they know they're still in your power. I know I told you one liner. They did. A kid had a big thing. My dad turned big red. He was so mad at me. And we don't want that power to be stolen. So remember the importance of your relationship. Make saying hello and goodbye a special event. Make your hellos when they come see you and your goodbyes to them. It has to be special. One important. My oldest son, every time he sees his kids, he give him a hug. How you doing? But that is a special. They walk in and know that they're gonna hug him. How was your day? You want to make them goodbyes a special event. Uh, when you first see your child in the morning, when they leave for school, when they get home from school, just before bed, provide a loving dose of eye contact, smiles, and never forget to demonstrate to them that you're glad to see them. You're glad that you're a child. I am glad you're a part of this family. At least once a day, notice something special about them. At least notice something special of that. I told the story of a son that cut his hair 3 days ago, and I noticed 3 days later. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that nice. I cut my hair 3 days ago." So notice something that's special about them. Use the format. I noticed that. You put on a new jacket. I noticed you did something different with your hair. Notice something different. Notice something special, not different about them. Remove any hidden sarcasm, then you want to love them even when they're behaving not so lovable. Sometimes the kids that behave the most need the most love. Even when they're not behaving properly, you still want to love them. And one thing, neutralizing argument. Parents who get pulled into endless argument, whether they have the time and energy to enjoy loving relationships, you burn so much energy getting into these power struggles and getting into these debate with kids, you don't have the time and energy for the loving part of your relationships. They have to see that part too. You have they have to see that you are this loving parent. You are taking the time. You are saying several times a day that you love them. A lot of kids that I deal with on my suicide prevention hotline, a lot of them, I haven't heard nobody ever say they love me. That is heartbreaking to me. I haven't had nobody notice me. If you read the story of one of the survivors of the Golden State Bridge of society that jumped off, he made a pact. He said, if I think it was 5 miles away. He said, if I walk there, if one person acknowledge me, one person smile at me, one person say something, that I won't do it. Within 5 miles, nobody, I don't know how many miles, but whatever long he walked, nobody never made contact, looked, smiled, or did anything. Smiling and hugging goes a long way, especially with your children. Because sometimes if you don't smile and give that contact, sometimes nobody else never will. So you have to begin to, no matter how you're feeling, no matter how bad they're frustrating you, you have to do it with love. You have to give that smile. You can't have that set face that you never smile, because told you that was wrong. Me, my child always thought I was upset, and I wasn't, because my face just stays set that way because I was so busy. You have to intentionally give that smile, intentionally give that hug, intentionally not get into these power strokes and missing that precious time, and learning to calmly repeat the love and logic one liners give the ability to take care of yourself while preserving your energy to have more times with their kids. It actually preserve your energy to have that. I have seen it work with parents that have went to my intensive parenting classes, that it actually worked, and the kids start responding. They might get sarcastic with it. Oh, no, you love me too much to argue with me. You like, that is so true. I'm glad you said it first, sweetheart. I do love you too much to argue with you today. And you do that. So as you read, and I can send more books out to you, Julie, because I have a lot of extra parenting books that you can give to the parents online. And as you read the Love and Logic Pros, it intends to lead children believing that their parents are the most powerful, most loving in their lives. The follow it revealed parent kids who view their parents as more powerful and loving is far more likely to grow into the respectful, responsible adults. They really do. And before we get into this, I really want to get into. I know I did it before. Quick, the effects of yelling. I know we might not get this, but if you know a parent that constantly doing this, you can remind them. I want you to get this in back, that it has a long term effects of kids that deal with parents that yell. Yelling makes the behavior usually get worse. You might think that yelling is a kids can solve a problem in the moment or can prevent them from behaving badly in the future, but research has shown that it's actually be create more issues in the long run. Yelling can actually make your child behave even worse, which means that you have to yell even more to try to correct it, and it's a constant cycle. It's basically called it emotional abuse. Yelling changes the way the kid's brain develops. Yelling or other harsh parenting techniques can quite literally change the way your child brain develops. This behavior humans process negative information and that more quickly. We as human we do process negative information more quickly. So all that negativity a kid's process is going. One study that they compare MRI scans of people who have a history of parental verbal abuse in a childhood with a scan of those who do not have that history. They found noticeable physical differences part of their brain responsible for processing sounds and language. It's that part of the brain, their language, their processing. That part of the brain begins to get damaged. So yelling leads to depression with that. In a study, the track increased behavior problems by a 13-year-old who is jailed at. Researchers found out they uptick in depression symptoms. Many other studies shows a connection between emotional abuse and depression or anxiety. These kind of symptoms can lead to worse behavior and it can develop into self-destruction action like drug use or increase in risk activities. Yelling has effects on physical health. The experience have grown up to shape in many ways, and some people, which may not even realize it, stress in their childhood from verbal abusive parents can increase a child risk for certain health problems as an adult. So it's a lot of research on that. It's a lot of research on yelling cause chronic pain. It's a link to find between negative childhood experience include verbal and other kinds of abuse later of pain with chronic conditions like arthritis, bad headaches, back and neck problems, and other chronic conditions. But it's never too late to make changes in your parenting behavior, learn some new techniques. If you notice you're yelling a lot or lose your temper, ask for help. A therapist even it said a therapist or even another parent can help sort out some of these feelings and develop plan with you. So if you find yourself, but is you a yeller or you know somebody yelling, I just want to share it's so much harm and effects to not only your health, but definitely to your child's health, growth, physical. It does a lot of physical things, a lot of mental things. It makes their brain develop. It develops anxiety in them, depression, it develops anger. It develops frustration, retaliation. That's usually when bullying come in. They go in and they begin to bully. So it's a lot of effects with yelling. I just want to give that. So any other questions, Julia, that I can answer before we jump off of here? I'm here for a while. Just want to answer questions now.
Um, yes, I haven't seen any other ones get typed in there at this point. Um, would you say like just kind of going to their website? I know there's different parenting books and recordings and things. If parents are like, okay, I've heard what you're saying. I'd like to learn more. What are some ways that they could connect to some more resources?
A lot of research. You can email me, and I got a lot of resources that I have downloaded, and I can ship some to you. But in Love and Logic, if you go to their page, they got a lot of Love and Logic things that you can print out yourself. You don't have to have the material, but they got a lot of parenting with Love and Logic things that you can print out that you can do yourself. A lot of the websites is Healthy Adolescence. It's a good one that we can go through that is website and the effects of yelling. That's a whole website within itself. Just got all type of research scenarios in there. And another thing is it's a web concept on how do I handle power struggles. You know, so it just use it with the love and logic when you go to that. It has a lot of stuff that you can that they pull up that you can print out yourself without have to. It just don't go in details, but it gives the surrounding area with that. But I have a lot of different websites that I will forward to you, Julie,
Okay,
that you can
great.
kind of send out
Excellent.
too if you want to do that too. Uh, so yeah, any other kind of questions that you want, you can hit emails with me, and I don't mind just sending stuff out. I have a lot of books. When I get to my center, I can suggest they have. I have a couple of them how to deal with the explosive child. That I actually have several copies that I give me the address. I will mail to you. How
Sure.
to deal with an explosive child. How to set my classroom. How to set up a Love and Logic classroom. Uh, how to another one is parenting with ease. I have a lot of books that when I did the Love and Logic, went to the class, I just picked up, and I have a lot of copies. I can just send them to you. Then you can have them as resources. They can just parents can pick up and check out from you. But I have a lot of those I can send you.
Okay, yeah, and that would be great. I know people are just different ways of taking in the information and kind of reviewing those sections that are relevant to like their age group of
Hmm.
kid, and even just seeing those list of one-liners. And for those people who are online that weren't in the in-person one, there are some handouts that I can make copies of too,
Yeah.
if you guys are interested in that. And we'll send out your the PowerPoint thing that you created too. So yeah, was there anything else, Mr. Poppy? I haven't seen anything else coming in on the chat, so I think we're okay there.
I haven't either. Thank you, Janice, and
You're welcome.
we'll close in prayer here together
All right.
and call it an evening. Dear Lord, we thank and praise you for the blessing of families, the blessing of children. We pray that you would continue to be with us as we continue to try to become better parents to our children, that our love for them would shine through, and that we would be able to raise children who are responsible, loving, caring, and children who follow after your heart, Lord. All these
Yes.
things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. You guys be blessed.
Yes, thank you so much, Janice. Thank you guys for joining too. Have a great
No
night,
problem.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.